Hi guys. So yesterday when I returned home from work, I found some exciting stuff had taken place on the Young Thug trial that I didn't even know about. And I feel so terrible that I didn't know about it. I was talking to you yesterday about the indictment and all of this exciting stuff was going on. And I wish I had known it was going on. I'm sorry. Also, I need and I will learn how to share with you the video of like what's going on while I talk, because I watched a video of the judge go crazy on the defense when the defense was trying to make his argument. And the judge just like kept yelling at him and trying to rush him through it. And the defense attorney was like, I am trying to make a record. It's so frustrating when judges are like that. Like they try to rush you through your job. They get like flippant or irritated with what you're saying, maybe. Who knows? I don't know. But sometimes they'll just like, in this case, the judge was just like yelling, like, what have I not heard already, kind of thing. The thing that is so terrible about that is like we have a legal duty, like a legal responsibility to create a record and preserve these things on the record for our clients. And so like this judge is yelling at him and he did a really great job. This was a man, he has like a big white beard. He did really great when the judge was going crazy. So I'm going to learn between today, the 10th of November, and November 27th, when this trial starts and we go down this trial trail together, I'm going to learn how to show you the video somewhere, like maybe over here or something. It's my home office that I'm at today. So, okay, just incredibly exciting action yesterday. Besides the judge flipping out and getting irritated, and I have to show y'all because this happens all the time at court. And I have people come in and they're, well, how could a judge make a wrong decision? They're the judge. They have to be making the right decision. How could the judge do this? Judges are people. They are like human beings. Okay. And I got to show you how this man behaved because y'all will actually feel some empathy for us lawyers when you see this. You'll be like, wow, I can't believe you have to deal with this at work. This kind of behavior, especially when that judge knows the job. They're a lawyer. They know we have to preserve the air. Oh my gosh, it's so frustrating. It is so frustrating, folks. But that's not what I'm here to talk to you about today. I just want to tell you what the judge concluded. Okay. Yesterday, the first part of the morning was spent talking about motions that had been done the day before. So yesterday, the day before yesterday, the defense had put on their motion to suppress the lyrics as evidence. And the defense's argument was a multi-pronged argument. They argued that it's unconstitutional to use the lyrics because of the First Amendment, that it's art and art is protected speech. I think that's a good argument. I definitely tend to agree with that argument. I think we'd rather err on the side of protection, but that's just me. Okay, there was another thing, and then they pulled out the race card and they said to use rap lyrics is racist. To use rap lyrics against the defendant is racist. Now, the reason that works, that defense works, it could work, it should work, maybe, could sway, is because typically people who write rap lyrics are African American. We do have some Puerto Rican, hip hop artists, but I think they call that reggaeton. I don't think they call that hip hop. And then there's been there's a few white artists, and they're incredibly famous because they're white, right? Because it's so rare for white folks to be super successful in hip hop, or at least behind the mic in front of the camera. Because I am sure there are a bunch of producers and record labeled, and I'm sure there's a lot of white folks in hip hop that are very successful. That's why that argument kind of doesn't work, though. I mean, there's that, but it's Georgia. It's Atlanta, Georgia. So you might actually be able to get away strongly with that argument. to me, the strongest argument is that there is a First Amendment right to make art and to have speech in art. I can write a poem, and the poem could say like mean things, and I'm not going to say it because I don't want to be canceled by YouTube, but the poem could be really ugly stuff, really mean stuff, and they can't prosecute me. It's art, it's a poem. So when they're using hip hop lyrics to prosecute, that bothers me. That bothers me on a First Amendment right issue. So the judge had heard the arguments the day before and had heard the presentation by both the defense and the prosecution. And I do need to mention that I think Young Thug's lawyer is great. I think he's a really good lawyer. I've watched him, and I think he's really good. He's fun to watch. So that's going to be interesting for us. But the judge went through this whole spiel about how he has to do a test. He has to balance these ideas, and is it probative? Is it valuable? Blah, blah, blah. And he has to weigh all those things. And so the judge said that he did do that. He went through all of the steps required for him to make the decision. And then he did decide on a preliminary level, and of course, subject to proper introduction by the prosecution, that he is going to allow lyrics used as evidence. I mean, let that sink in. One day, my daughter drew me this lovely thing. It says, "I love you, Mom," and it has hearts and stuff. Could you imagine, like, a court wanting to use this as evidence? Like, this is evidence. This is art. It's wild. It's wild. So the judge is going to allow preliminarily, the judge is going to allow the lyrics as evidence that these people committed this conduct, which is just wild to me. I do not like that. I don't like it at all. But that's his preliminary ruling. Now, it's obviously subject to the prosecution properly getting it admitted at trial. So they have to, have the right witness. They have to be able to ask the questions of the witness. It has to come in and not be hearsay or whatever it might be. So subject to that, at this point, the judge is going to allow the lyrics, the actual lyrics from the music, which is an art. When I was young, which was like yesterday, we had art, we had music, PE. Those were like our electives, right? Music and art are. So they are going to allow the lyrics. Now, once the judge made that very disappointing ruling, he then took arguments about something that Dylan Cook, thanks for joining, by the way. And I agree with you. It is so wild that they're allowed. I have seen, I saw a show once about this man who was a hip hop artist, and he rapped about some murder that had happened like down the block from him. And he really only knew the details that everybody else knew because it happened down the block and, there were witnesses. But he used those, and then they put him in jail on it. Now, he did end up getting out, but he spent time behind bars because of a song he wrote. And here's the thing. The Constitution has a bunch of enumerated rights, right? This is the first one. It is your First Amendment right to speak freely. And it's like, and to create art. And it's crazy. It is such an important right. They wrote it down first. Okay. So, after the judge made that wild, but I knew, thank you, Dylan. I knew the judge was going to make that ruling because I've been watching this judge and I've been watching his behavior. And here's the thing. Judges also work for the government, right? Like the prosecutor and the judge have the same payroll, the same signature on their paycheck. Okay. So the government is the government. And now we're out here, Young Thug is out here defending himself against these accusations and against the art he's created over time, which is unbelievable. So, you guys, this is why we got to vote accordingly. Anyhow, after that ruling, the judge went on to hear arguments about Oh, okay. I guess there was like a phone call between one of the defendants, and he called his mom from jail and then told his mom to three-way a guy, and then she three-wayed it. So they want to admit this phone call, which the defendant never identifies himself on the phone. And then I guess the person that they made the three-way to is now deceased. And so they're, or maybe I don't know, someone's deceased. And so the dead man's rule would apply. And there's all these like hearsay issues. So the defendant's lawyer was arguing like the defendant never identifies himself on the phone. He doesn't say this is his mom. An exception to hearsay when someone's deceased and they can't come in is that this was like a really close relationship. So, something, if you live with your children, you said something to your children while you live with them, or your spouse or something while when you're close, but not like if your spouse moved away and, you guys were separated for years and years, then that wouldn't be the exception. And this lawyer is arguing the recording doesn't meet any of these exceptions. There's nothing in the actual language of the recording that identifies these people or meets any of these rules to the exception. And the judge yelled at him. I mean, just tore him up. Like was interrupting him. Is there anything else you're going to say that I haven't already heard? The dude did great. He stood there, Your Honor, I'm just trying to make a record. Just went on, Your Honor, I'm just trying to make a record. Awful. So the judge yelled at him for doing his job. And then I didn't hear if the judge made a ruling. I think he waited. From this judge, I see everything I've seen, he's waited. He will not make a ruling like right then and there. He always wants like a day at least to go think about it. Then the next part of the day, yesterday was a 7-hour day. The next part of the day was spent on the prosecution just proving up and doing what we call Daubert, voir dire. So they're getting the experts to show that they are experts. And so under the federal rules of evidence, there's a federal case called Daubert, and I'm sure there's a Georgia case that aligns. And the federal rule of evidence is 702 for experts. I just have that memorized. And there's like 3 elements you need to prove an expert under the Daubert. And that's basically what they were doing yesterday. So the rest of the hearing was like super boring. But I watched it for you. So in the next 17 days, because our trial starts on the 27th, I'm going to learn how to share video so I can show you responses and make real-time reactions. And I'm going to keep you updated if anything new happens. I know nothing's going to happen today. Like the courts don't do anything on Fridays, and it's Veterans Day for a lot of people today. So thank you for joining us. I really appreciate it. Make sure you hit like, make sure you subscribe. I really appreciate it. Come back starting the 27th and do this thing live with me. And of course, go through my material. I have a lot of real estate, estate planning, probate related stuff. And I'm a Texas lawyer, so it's all Texas. I'm really excited for this case. I'm really excited. I mean, it has some big implications. And the defendant is wealthy enough that he might be able to actually like move it up to the Supreme Court. We might be able to take the issues out of this case and go up to the Supreme Court and have the Supreme Court say once and for all that we can't prosecute art. I mean, that would be delightful. Dylan, San Antonio. Okay, I went to law school in San Antonio. Hey, Spurs in the house. I just got distracted. Sorry about that. So I really appreciate y'all coming in and visiting. And I promise I will figure out the technology issues so this can be way, way, way more fun. And make sure you come back, especially Dylan, come back on the 27th when the actual trial starts, when the jury is seated. We're going to do like the opening, and then it's going to be awesome. It's going to be so fun. So I'll see you then.